Taoiseach, I have to challenge you a number of things you've said here today on the eviction ban. First of all, you said earlier on to Deputy Batchik that one thing we can all agree on is that the eviction ban will have to end sometime. No, we don't. We don't agree with that, because a no-fault eviction ban is not the norm in Europe. And you often throw Europe back to us when we try to change legislation and normal practices in this country. But this is not the norm in Europe. Lorcan Sayer said so on the radio this morning, and we have repeatedly argued this in this House. People need fixity of tenure, and that is an aged-old demand of the Land League, and we still haven't achieved it after 100 years of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael ruling this state. So you need to look at that legislation, and we need to see that no-fault evictions are maintained. If people wreck the gaff, don't pay their rent or cause antisocial problems, yes, there should be evictions. But where there's no fault, it should not happen. End of story. And so therefore, when you argue that you gave people a few more months to find an alternative, and they haven't found an alternative, where do they go? Well, we say they need to stay where they are. Rather than go on the streets, they need to stay where they are. We'll give them as much backing and solidarity as we can, and we'll keep arguing in this House that the law has to change to protect tenants.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. I just want to acknowledge that you and your party do have a different view on this, but it is a different view from all the government parties, Sinn Féin and Labour, who all acknowledge that the eviction ban has to end at a certain point. I appreciate that People for Profit has a different view from even the rest of the left on this. And it is true that there are different laws in different European countries, and there's a wide variation in different laws in different European countries. But where permanent no-fault eviction bans exist in other European countries, people would have bought a property on that basis and would have known that. What you're essentially saying to somebody is that we should change our law retrospectively in Ireland. So if somebody bought a property thinking that they can move back into it when they come back home from Australia or Britain in a year or two, that would be taken away from them. And I don't think in those countries they ever passed a law that retrospectively changed the rules. It'd be one thing to say that if somebody was going to buy a house now, that they have to rent it out and can never regain possession of it, even if they want to move back in. That's one thing. But to change the law retrospectively, that would almost certainly be constitutional.
No, we're over time.
And would be unfair, I think.